I had to erase some videos. I ran out of space. So where I left off was let me jump up. Insulted by beyond belief, Monkey ran amok, burst into the Jade Emperor's court, and dared to threaten his August in person. His August is that the Jade Emperor. The ruler of the universe sighed, consulted his advisors, and bestowed a new title upon him. Great Sage, Equal of Heaven. That's much better, said the monkey, impressed. But by his very nature, the great sage was irrepressibly naughty. He just couldn't help it. He gobbled up Lao Zi's longevity pills, stuffed his face with the precious peaches of immortality, gate-crashed official parties, and made insulting gestures. So we're talking about Monkey now. By Monkey's nature, he was in... I must have made must be a mistake. Insulting gestures to all and sundry. Finally, he left heaven in disgust, claiming it wasn't good enough for him. Now the Jade Emperor finally lost his esteemed cool. He sent the heavenly army to obliterate Monkey once and for all. Nothing could withstand this mighty force, but the great stone ape, immortal, spiritually illuminated, and filled with the heavenly essence, was not only indestructible, but also pretty handy in a fight. The forces of heaven made an embarrassing display and slunk off in defeat. There was nothing for it. The ruler of heaven called for Buddha. Now Buddha, in his infinite wisdom, knew better than to subdue Monkey by force. Instead, he offered him a wager. If you are so clever, jump off the palm of my hand. Jump off the palm of my hand. If you can do that, I'll demote the emperor and give heaven to you. But if you can't, I'll expect a full apology and penance. The Monkey King laughed. He could travel thousands of miles in a single leap. The bet was on. Buddha stretched out his hand and Monkey jumped. Several thousand miles later, the great sage landed in a desolate plain with great columns reaching up to the sky. These must be the 5 pillars of wisdom at the end of the universe, he thought. That Buddha is just plain stupid to make such a silly bet. And to show his disrespect, he pissed all over the nearest pillar and jumped back to claim his reward. Is the emperor packing his bags yet? Asks Monkey as he landed. The Holy One raised up a sublime eyebrow. I don't know why you are grinning, he said. You've been in my palm the entire time. The astonished monkey rubbed his eyes and stared at the 5 familiar-looking pink pillars of the Buddha's hand. Then he smelled the stench of monkey pee and trembled. The next thing he knew, he was lying on the ground with a mountain on top of him, and there he stayed for 500 long years, being fed molten copper and iron pills by an attendant demon, while moss grew in his ears. By the time Guan Yin came along, the great sage equal of heaven was a thoroughly humble creature. Guan Yin is aspect of compassion, or she's like the goddess of compassion, right? As told in Journey to the West, Guan Yin enlisted Monkey as chief disciple of the young Buddhist monk Tripitaka. Together with Sandy and Pigsy, he protected the boy on his quest to India. I think Buddha is the boy. Battled demons, righted wrongs along the way. His natural monkey trickery now had a holy purpose which he unleashed with much enthusiasm, and his uncontrollable ego was kept firmly in place by the golden headband of Guan Yin's devising. There's like similarities in this, like Buddha is like the pyramid text, like the boy in the pyramid text, and the magic and shit. The unsuspecting great sage was not prepared for the terrible torture of the Headache Sutra. Whenever monkeys misbehaved, Tripitaka recited the sutra, and the golden fillet squeezed until his very eyeballs felt like bursting. That's the headband, right? Fillet. Try as he might, he could not remove it. There was no defense except submission, and pretty soon Monkey was the most humble disciple the world has ever known. Usually, so it's like you can't really be of any use with a big head. Then you're allowed to actually do a lot more good with humility. Then so it's like the headband is like the superpower, because you wouldn't ever use the superpower if you were so headstrong. I think then you're thinking that you're doing all this help is actually hurting, right? Or some like help is actually a bad word because it's too prompt. It's it's something that you could be helped either for good or bad. You know what I mean? For like to your you could be helped to your dismantlement. You know what I mean? Or like a con man helps fools out of their funds. Like after many adventures, the travelers fulfilled their quest. Monkey was rewarded for all of his efforts with with the title Buddha Victorious Against Disaster, and finally made his peace with heaven. So, I mean, linguistics, right? Or like aspects of behavior and distillation of spirits to enact. The God said the precursor to the Messianic era was demagoguery, and demagogues are like drunk children in a bordello realm. Like that goes into legalese term. The bordello is the bar, like the bordello realm. So the bar exam, and the bar exam is like not a test, but it's like a union kind of thing. Like the bar exam is like getting into the union or some shit. The club. Let's see who this is say who say like Mao say Tong. Sun who say who see. Wuhan. This is like show. I think that the corporatist elites, they do occultist shit. You know what I mean? And it's like some shit is like just taking advantage of an opportunity where you know that there's no way that there's not going to be some Santa Maria type of shrine in the desert and on the border, you know what I mean, like in Mexico, you know what I mean. And it's like, of course they're gonna do that shit, you know. It's in some things that are not new, like when a power, like a cartel will like demand horror when they send a message, right? And there's always been the type that is not enough to just send a message, but they need horror, you know. And those are like not the supreme wealthiest, you know what I mean? Like we know them as having like $30 million a day laundered through like some bank or something, like or some shit like that. But that's not really a lot of money. Like there's people that don't even use money, you know what I mean? There's a divider. It's like Wall Street. It's like a wall between the people that use capitals and have to make gains against capital, and people that can just trade commodity, they can just use commodities instead of money. And like those people have wealth, right? Not no cartels and shit like that. Those are like just dirty brujas. Those are just some nasty bruja. That's it. You know what I mean? We could all be afraid of them and everything, but their thing is to render the psyche of the society to thinking that like you must be doing something wrong if you go against him, right? And they tell you in that movie Sicario. I was like, it's smart how they do this shit. It's smart how they do it. But if you really look at it though, it's just like, oh, that's just a side effect of being a living mortal, that you're just subjugated by these little like they're not peon, you not for you, you know what I mean, but they're somebody's peons though, you know, like you always see in the movies, like in the end they try to turn it around on them, and you know at the end they're gonna punch the bad guy at the end, and everybody's gonna be like, yeah, and feel like they feel good, like, yeah, that was right, and walk out of there like enthusiastic about the movie. You can't do that shit. You just can't, you know what I mean? Like, I get it and everything, punch the bad guy and everything, but that's a movie. That's a movie.